centre stage as the result of that vote on whether to stay in or leave the EU will be held there. The date for the referendum was officially set by the Prime Minister at the weekend, and later today David Cameron will present his deal with the EU to Parliament. So let's speak to two members of the European Parliament and get their views. Sajjad Karim is the Conservative North West MEP and Louise Bourge is the UKIP North West MEP. Welcome both. Let's begin. Sajjad, to you first. You're very much pro-EU. So in 3 short points, if you will, tell us why we need to stay in the EU.
Well, good morning. First of all...
Oh,
he's disappeared.
That didn't bode well, did it? OK, well, while we get Sajjad back on the line, Louise, it has disappeared. Let's begin with you as the UKIP North West MEP then. Three short points, but a bit longer, please, than Sajjad's.
Well, hello, Alec. Good morning, Alison. I'm not sure what happened to Saj. I'm sure he'll be back any second now.
Why do you think we need to leave the EU?
Well, for me, it's simple. Me personally, it's all about who makes the decisions in this country. Forget all the really complex arguments and the really complicated statistics and everything like that, which can all get a bit confusing and frustrating to people. Who do you want to make the decisions that affect us in this country? And whilst we're a member of the EU, the people who make those decisions are sat in Brussels. They're not sat in Westminster.
Which particular decisions are you referring to?
Everything. I mean, you think, Alison, over 70% of our laws are now made in Brussels. And remember, legislation MEPs have no power. I mean, legislation is instigated by the commissioners who are unelected. All MEPs do is just amend and tweak.
So are you saying the British government's a nonsense then and serve no purpose?
Well, you know what? I would never say that, because to me, it obviously being obviously a politician now, but always having been interested in politics, Westminster and all our traditions all tied up with that are very dear to me, and I love those institutions. So no, it's not nonsense. But what I want to see is all the power returned to our MPs who sit on the green leather in Westminster and not unelected bureaucrats in Brussels, and that for me is the very fundamental point. And when you've got Michael Gove, our Justice Secretary, and obviously a member, Sajjad is a member of the Conservative Party, his own party, saying that every day of his working life, when he tried to pass things or change things that would make things better for the people in this country, he was told by ministers, I'm sorry, we can't do that because it goes against EU rules.
I'm not quite sure whether that was 3 short points, Louise.
Sorry,
but let's get back to...
I wasn't sure whether Sajjad was there or not.
Let's get back to Sajjad Karim, who we have now got back. So 3 points from you, Sajjad, as to why you think, and you are quite passionate about it, I believe, as to why we should remain in the EU.
Well, yes. Firstly, of course, the fact that it will become much harder for us to attract foreign direct investment into the United Kingdom. Now, that's particularly important when you look at the Northern Powerhouse projects that we've got in place and the way in which we're attracting foreign investment into places like Manchester. Secondly, I recall as a young 19-year-old sitting in front of the television watching people tearing down the Berlin Wall with their bare hands. Now, today I have the ability to be able to jump onto a plane and go anywhere in the European Union. At that time, I could not even think of going to somewhere like Hungary or Poland without extensive visa processes and the actual chance being that I wouldn't be approved. And then very finally, it's about the future direction of our country. Now, I want to make sure that the future for our coming generations, which includes all of our children and grandchildren, that they have the ability to be global players from a United Kingdom platform and stage. And being in Europe strengthens their ability to be able to reach out to the world from a position of strength.
Let's just bring in the people of Manchester City Centre, which will be voting one way or the other come June. Here's what they had to say about the referendum.
We are undecided because we don't feel really the public have had enough to explain to us, but at the moment you're hearing debates on either side and it's very difficult to know which way to go.
Nobody really knows how it's going to affect us if we come out. I just think we don't know enough. we can't make an informed decision. The man in the street, I don't think, knows enough to make an informed decision.
So if anything, I feel a little bit annoyed that I don't know more about what's going on, but I don't feel there's much information around.
Louise, just let's bring you back in here, because I don't know whether you think it will lose something in the ability to play on a global stage, but UKIP, of course, founded, one of its main planks was on the immigration argument. Do you not fear, then, Louise, that had we not got Calais and the French dealing with the refugee problem there, that we will end up with a jungle in Kent, and by reading what we're being told this morning, in Hull as well, as people make their way in illegally
I
to the
cannot
country?
even believe that people are even... In fact, I don't believe, in fact, let's go for another angle. I do not believe that people actually are swallowing or believing the rubbish that is coming out of some people's mouths. You're telling... we would have the ability to control our borders. We would not have a jungle set up in Calais or Hull, because we simply wouldn't let people in. People aren't going to be coming to England.
But people are making their way in, aren't they? People are getting to Calais, so you don't believe those people will get across.
And why are they doing that, Alison? They're getting to Calais and making a camp, the jungle, because they all want to come to the UK. When they come to the UK, they won't be making a makeshift camp. They will all disperse into our population and go into wherever they are heading towards. It's an absolute utter nonsense. And if the Prime Minister had a spine and had tackled what people really want him to tackle, which is immigration and freedom of movement of peoples, then we wouldn't be having the discussion in the first place.
The Prime Minister in 2015 let in 2% of what Germany has taken in the last year of refugees, 1 million. But let's bring you back in, Sajjad, to the argument. Do you think immigration is going to be a big player and is going to be one of the main planks of what people are watching for in this referendum?
Well, this is the thing, you see. The proponents of those that want the UK to come out of the European Union like to mix up the refugee crisis with immigration and the rights of people to move freely around the European Union. The people who are currently camped in Calais are not EU citizens, and they do not have the ability to come to the United Kingdom because we maintain our own borders, and that is going to remain the case. If we were not in the European Union, then I'm afraid those people would be making their way onto the United Kingdom's shores, and once they are here, we simply would not be in a position to turn them away in terms of turning away boats in the sea or anything of that sort. That is not the way that we operate. We are bound by international agreements that give rights to refugees that we have signed up to. So the fact that we have in place this agreement makes sure that that issue remains in Calais and doesn't come to the United Kingdom. Now, some people may want to try and confuse that with EU citizens who have the ability to use their passports to move around, but that is a very different thing indeed.
Sajjad Karim, thanks for talking to us this morning, Conservative North West MEP, and thank you